Good morning. Today we are speaking to man behind the mask, Kristoffer. This is Douglas Heel in Cape Town, and Kristoffer is coming to us from Denmark. Good morning, Kristoffer.
Good morning, Douglas.
Great mask. Where did you get that from?
Got that in Africa, of course.
Very good.
Well, I don't know if you guys, call it Africa. Cape Verde. It's, it's part of Africa, but
we're a very welcoming continent, so they can be part of us.
Of course.
Well,
So
what were you doing in Cape Verde? Verde.
Actually, it's fun fact. That's where we make our kids.
That's a good start to an interview. Here I'm thinking you're going to say, "Oh no, we were doing athletic training."
No.
With the Danish athletics team, all right.
Not important.
Not important at all.
That's 2 of our kids, 2 out of 3 is made in Cape Verde.
Fantastic.
So every 9 months after that, fingers crossed.
That's great. And so 2 out of 3. That's quite good statistics.
It is. It's a good place to, get pregnant, I guess.
There is something in the air.
Or water, or whatever.
Or the water. That's awesome. So, how are things in Denmark at the moment? We've been, everywhere in the world is different, and our strategies and to the lockdown are different. How are things in Denmark?
It's not normal, but it's. There was like everywhere else, almost everywhere else, it shut down. Not total lockdown, but in the first 2 months, pretty lockdown, and then it opened up over summer because statistics went the right way, and then after summer, it's going the wrong way again. So now they're not closing down, but and it's very un-Danish to tell people not to do something. So they're trying to, please do this, please do that, and wear a mask at public transportation and restaurants when you're walking, not when you're sitting, but when you're walking around. So it's a little crazy, but nothing too major. But it's all right. Yeah, but still weird as hell.
Yeah, so what we have noticed around the world is that we see the impact in our clients. So it's almost like the base stress or the base uncertainty is greater. So it's almost like a lot of the patterns are exaggerated. Are you seeing that as well?
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day actually, because you see a lot of the clinic is back to normal, almost more busy than normal because people work from home. That's what I thought, at least in the beginning. It's like, yeah, they're sitting bad chairs, kitchen table, months go on, and then they get, neck pain or, something, back pain or something like that. But it could also be that the anxiety rate is, going up a little bit as well. Tie those things together could be a plausible way to think about it, at least.
Well, it's, I think uncertainty is, especially if you're not programmed for it. It's if you've got used to, we always joke when we're in Denmark that there are no mountains, no dangerous animals, no spiders or snakes that are going to kill you. It's kind of, where's the scary stuff that trains you? So on one side, it makes you guys one of the happiest nations in the world, apparently. But, Doug, of course, when we look at how they define that and figure that out, we go, are you sure? But also it does mean that almost bursting someone's bubble is a little easier if their resilience is a little lower. So I think the fact that the government is, instead of changing their way and going, you must do this, asking politely, they're maintaining the bubble, but it still creates that background uncertainty and plays out in physiology. So
every time you go into a news media thing, you get bombarded with impressions. So it's all worst case scenarios and words that scare. So that doesn't help either.
Well, I think that's it, isn't it? It's very hard to avoid it, because it's not like, and everything that we talk about with mindset is point of focus. And you can find amazing inspirational things out in the world, and you can find damn scary things that'll make you not want to get out of bed in the morning. Yeah. And I think right now there's such an influx of that, of scary things that, and we get such a reaction in our system that we stop asking the question, does that even make sense? Does what they're telling me sound feasible even? Because I think sometimes when we've stepped back around the world, like a month later, we had one a rule when our lockdown got really, I think, level 5 lockdown. You couldn't buy open toe shoes, as in like flip-flops, thongs, whatever it's like, and people are like, yes, you can't do this. No, you can buy this, but you can't buy that. And you look back now, you go, that's the most ridiculous thing. And it can't be like a shoe company went, we're going to make a profit because we're not going to let you buy flip-flops now. But somehow even decision-making goes pretty irrational. Yeah. And our physiology gets hijacked by fear.
Yeah. And I think it's one of the important things that you learned me as well, is the managing your the stressors in your life. So it's more like if stress isn't necessarily a bad thing, but if it's too much of a good thing, it's a bad thing. And that one of those things affected me today. Me and Julie talked about it yesterday. That's, I'm not going to get that stressor in by reading the news.
So it's a choice. So there's a decision whether you let it in or not.
On top of the other stuff that's going on, that's just not really constructive.
Yeah, but it's an important thing about choice. Whereas, like, I know many people who first thing in the morning the TV goes on, and Sky News or whatever is just running on a cycle. So you're just getting bombarded, even if it's in the background. Yeah. And it's kind of like you just want to go, do you think that is having no impact and no influence on how your day is going?
Yeah. Or more importantly, how does that feel?
Yeah.
When you see that or listen to that or read that. How's your system reacting to that? Not only thinking, but feeling as well.
I think that's perfect, because also when you get bombarded so much, eventually you just shut that down. You actually disconnect to what you feel, because that's a survival strategy. Yeah. And that means you've lost a way to almost assess the information coming in, because if I say something to you and it's absolute rubbish, you get it, you can feel it. You go, dude, what crap is that? Not just your logical brain, but your body feels it. If you can't connect in with that, you've lost a whole assessment tool, which means it's far easier for me to manipulate. It's far easier for me to get you to do something silly, like we do in workshops. Sometimes we bombard, you do it. I would never do it, but
no, of course,
of course not. But we bombard someone with stimulus, and then somewhere in there, we ask them to do something totally ridiculous. And because they've already been overwhelmed, by the way, for anyone listening, this is all for learning. This is never done for entertainment or malicious intent, just for learning.
We never talk about it.
But it's to demonstrate how it works. So if we overload a system and then we throw in something totally irrational, people will most likely do the irrational thing and not notice, because they're so confused in that. That's why we love teaching. Because it's kind of real world scenarios that we play out in an environment in the classroom, really. So
one of the things you talked about on one of the courses was I remember that it was the Trump thing, where people hates Trump, but they still you check their systems, which made them stronger, actually, in a way, or they, it's still clarity what he says, even though it's annoying or he doesn't agree with it. It's still sort of a clarity around it.
That one really messed with people, and that was long before he was elected. That was when they were all open. No, I think it was 95% of the room, and this was in the US, quite hated him, and yet their bodies held strong, which really means we may not like what you say, but we can trust you because we know you have no filters. You just can't not say or not tweet or not whatever. So actually we can trust you because we know what you're thinking. We might hate what you're thinking. We might think you're an absolute idiot, but somewhere in my system, I recognize there's an integrity there. And you kind of go, oh, that hurts. It's like, how can that be? But I think that's the bizarre part that's playing out in the world, is that it's very hard to figure out with all the information that's out there, like what to trust and what not to trust. And kind of like, it's something we talk about a lot. There's so much information out there. Google has more information that you can access than ever before. But these days, there's less and less wisdom out there.
Yeah.
So information doesn't make you clever. Just so for anyone listening, it does not make you clever. In fact, it overwhelms your system. It confuses you. The first time I went to the US must have been about 2007, 2006 even. And I remember walking into a supermarket, a big supermarket, which is a bad thing because I was just looking for tea bags. I just wanted tea bags. I needed like something, a creature comfort. And there was an aisle. And I swear this aisle was 100 meters, not quite, but it felt like 100 meters. And there were just tea bags and teas the whole way down.
And no English breakfast.
And no English breakfast. No, there probably was. But I got so, like I'd heard the term before so clearly about choice paralysis. Too many choices, can't make up my mind. Yeah. I understood it right then and there. I could feel my system going, my God, please, somebody just give me the simple thing that I'm looking for. And I'm saying this out loud and I'm kind of going, Jesus, sounds like all of us. So bombarded with choices and things that all we're doing is going, please let this be over. Anything you like, make me wear, I don't know. I'm looking for something that's, I wouldn't say appropriate, but silly. Make me wear this. If this is the new way, and I can. But there we go. What part of the superhero solution are you going to be? But it's like I remember standing in that aisle, just going, I just want tea, please, somebody. And and then you ask someone, and they almost like over here, and you're looking, and you're going, really? That might be English breakfast or Ceylon tea with raspberry infusion. No, I just want the basic thing. Please, no perfumes, no flavorings, no. But choice paralysis is a very interesting thing for creating overwhelm. And all this information that comes in can do that to us. I know that I've had, certainly through this period, times of overwhelm because I went out to go learn, not just find out what's going on, but learning all these different, how to reach people through screens, all the background software, all these different things. And then I can't help it. And the cryptocurrencies and hey, let's look at this. And what about that? And And suddenly it's like the brain's trying to solve 1,000 things all at once. And that means the simple things like, Amy teases me because she tells me I'm definitely getting old because we've had, this seems like it's my interview. I'm doing all the talking today. My apologies. But
no,
3 times so far, we've had so much rain this winter. Like our dams are now A-OK, 100%. Droughts over, all of that. We still have a water scarcity mindset because, for anyone not knowing, we went on water restrictions about 5 years ago where we were allowed to use 25 liters a day per person, which, just think about that. That's kind of interesting. But here, our pool was overflowing. So, the paving is going to get all lifted. So I would put it on backwash to clear it out. And then I'd go off in my head. And 3 times over winter, I forgot to then turn it off. Now, that doesn't mean we ended up with an empty swimming pool, thankfully. There was like a safeguard. There was a Dog proof system, which means the weir was where it ended. But that means the water was down about this much. I was actually only going to drain that much. So 3 times over a 5-month period, I've stood up and got lost in a thought, lost in trying to solve one of 1,000 problems, and maybe even left the house to go do something else, which had happened twice, and come back and had Matt and Amy kind of giving me that look, the shame look. And it's the right thing, because we're very water conscious. And yet here I am going and blasting out. Thankfully, the rain just took care of that afterwards and buffered me and saved me. But it is interesting on how mindless one can become with the overload.
Yeah. Now, it's a question for you, though. You feel your mind, because when I reached out to you the first time, years ago, you were nowhere. Now, you're everywhere. Not everywhere, but yeah. How's that?
That actually sounds like the start of a horror movie. Okay, so when we started, basically at that point, I would go out in the world, I would teach, and then I'd vanish back to South Africa, and you couldn't find me.
Exactly.
And I just didn't really care what was going on in the rest of the world. And now you're completely different. So the environment is different. Finding out what's going on in the world is so easy, but also because so how often I've come to Denmark and I'm going from Denmark to somewhere else, or I'm coming from the States and then teaching in Denmark. But the problem now with the world is I'm still talking to all those people, and they're all in different time zones. And so it's like, all right, so it's been much better this week. But Carl and I were setting things up. So almost every morning, the first thing is the messages from Carl and email, the things that have to be done so that we can help the people in that area. And then there's also Lily and Nico are doing pretty amazing things in Indonesia, and I've got all that stuff that's being sent. And so, hey, what do you think of this? Is this okay? What do you like? And it's like, okay. And then we move into Europe time, and then and UK time, and gosh, it then moves into the States, and and so there's even that boundary. So a lot of people that I've spoken to who aren't in this work but work from home, because you said people are being encouraged to work from home, are struggling to find the boundaries now. They a friend of ours should be working 8 hours a day, says she cannot help it. She's working at least 11 hours a day from home. And now it's almost like her work is going, that's now the new normal. You're getting paid the same.
Yeah, of course.
But you just showed us how much more productive you are at home. Stay at home. Yeah, but I'm working 3 hours more a day. Well, good for you. Keep doing it.
Good for us and you.
Yeah.
Good for you, but yeah.
Yeah, that hour and a half you spend every day in the car getting to and from work, we'll take that too. At least you're not spending any money on petrol. but it's almost like we went to sleep, and then when we woke up, we were like, whoa, how did this happen? And most of the time in any fairy tale and story, when you wake up like that, it's already too late.
Yep.
So it is an odd fairy tale. And I suppose what keeps me engaged in this is like when I have a client in front of me, I'm looking at the story and the puzzle and putting it together. And this is a puzzle that, I'm not even sure often I'll use the thing of imagine like you think you're playing tiddlywinks, but actually you're on a rugby field. There's absolutely no way you have any chance of surviving this. And so first and foremost in any kind of assessing where you are in the world is, what is the game that is afoot? Are we playing tiddlywinks? Are we playing cards? Are we playing rugby or badminton? Because all of them have different rules. And if you're playing by one set of rules, but actually everyone else is playing by another set of rules, good luck with that.
Yeah. I think that I see that more and more in the clinic as well, that kind of overwhelm of expectations from workplaces and stuff like that. I usually start with a lot of that stuff as well, but it's even more evident that people, they need to take care of themselves in a way, not just, or more aware of that part. So it's, yeah, I see what you're saying with that stealing of your time is, it's more and more, getting more and more normal in a way.
Yeah, and I think overall we're pretty bad at setting boundaries normally, and we almost allow our structures to create that. Oh, I can't do that because I've got to go home. It's time to go home. Hey, you're home already. Won't you just do that? Yeah. So let's just take a look. So as you said, when you first reached out, like, yeah, I was beautifully invisible in the world, and it served me very well. And that's very not that way anymore. And for me, it's a massive learning. But for me, Denmark is a fascinating place. I love the people. I love everyone that comes to our programs. It's really fun. But there are more physios per capita, per number of people in any place than I can even vaguely figure out. How is that? How does that work?
Oh, good question. I don't really know why. I'm just in it, but
you're just the fish in the pond and I'm asking you a question about the water you're floating in, and you're going,
yeah, exactly.
Say what? It's called water?
Yeah. Well, I guess I don't know. They've, of course, educated a lot more of physios. It's a weird profession because part of the physios are hired, are work for the state, for the government.
Right.
And then there's this whole branch of private physios, which is outside of the whole common state-owned system. And if you want some sort of, if you're a little thinking outside the box, you don't really fit into the whole government state. You need these boxes to be able to, if you have a back problem, you do these exercises, of course.
Incredibly effective, obviously.
Yes, and that's why
there is no back pain in the whole world, because those exercises really work.
And that's also why we have so busy outside, of course. No, but it's I think it's a different kind of mindset around people as well, because they, maybe 2 generations back, a little pain here and there is, that's came with age.
Yeah.
Now people,
it's just part of how life works.
Yeah, exactly. You get older, you get worn. It's part of it. Now people want to be able to run 6 marathons a year without pain, and it's a little.
Well, it certainly highlights quite quickly because of the increased expectation. You've got to keep up. Yeah. If you're bringing a system from 20 years ago that kind of worked, but the expectations were so low, and now the expectations are exponentially different, it really exposes whether what you're doing is effective or not.
Yeah, but back then, 2 generations ago, you should work, you should, go home, eat dinner with your kids, and that was it. You know, now you have to work full time, if not more. You know, be a good parent if you can, and then you want to be able to run a marathon or triathlon or
Well, you have
ultra
to look good on social
marathon.
media. You have to look good to the world.
Exactly.
Like you're enlightened and you've reached the pinnacle of your existence.
Yeah, and you have to count calories and all that good stuff as well.
Whew.
You know.
Yeah. There's a lot to distract us.
Exactly. So it's a different kind, and you don't want any pain at the same time. All this stuff. So it's good for our business in a way. That's why probably there's a lot of physios and massage therapists and body workers and stuff like that in Denmark and around the world as well. But it's I think it's that kind of expectations that's not really doable.
Yeah, I think that's pretty profound, actually, because I didn't realize. I like how you talk about the difference just in 20 years and on how what we're trying to achieve and how much we're trying to achieve, and we want to be perfect in all of those things. And you failing in one, it's not enough.
No.
So people get miserable and frustrated, and
Yeah.
That's cool. Thank you for that. Huh.
It's like one of those.
You see, you know what? Thank you. You've just chucked something else into my database, and I can almost feel my brain going, "Oh crap, that's so true. I wonder how differently I have to evaluate now based upon what you've just said." That's really annoying, actually. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I my best.
I thought it was going to be a nice, easy Friday morning. Thank you so much.
No, but it's like, it's simple math. If you want to be 100% good at something, there's no more room for anything else, pretty much. If you want to be, good at something or a little good at everything, it's not really doable.
And if you look around in the world and people look at their social media to see what other people are doing, because we like to compare, and everyone else looks friggin' amazing, then suddenly your 100%, what you thought was good was quite average, actually.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I have a friend of mine who he does his triathlons and his Ironman and all of his crazy events because he wants to, but we call him a Bumblebee, and that was my nickname for him. And I read a book once that started like this. Scientists have proven beyond doubt that the bumblebee cannot fly. Its wings are too small, its body weight is too great, aerodynamically it's absolutely impossible. The problem is nobody told the bumblebee. And this man, Greg, is a bumblebee. And you'd look at him and, if you said, this man just did an Ironman, you go, what, he drove it. And he did. It's like, but yet he did some amazing things. But he was the mind Jedi in this too. So what he would do with all these events is 100 meters from the end, he would change clothes. He would do his hair. He'd clean himself up. So as he crossed the finish line, after 16 hours of blood, sweat, and tears, and he looked friggin' amazing. And in his business, you walk in and there are all these achievements, Iron Man, this one, that one, and he's crossing the line and he looks like he's just strolled around the block. And I'm like, dude, explain that to me. He goes, psychology, because once they see that, when we go into a meeting to negotiate, I've already got the upper hand. Because their brain is confused as hell. Hang on, dude. I'm looking at you. I can see you in the photo. I know that's the Iron Man. And you look friggin' amazing. And so he's disrupted their reality. And now you're going to go negotiate with him. It's like,
You said he does that because he wants to. Or is that because he's doing it?
Well, I think he, like a lot of people, enjoys it when someone goes, "Oh, you could never do that," and he smiles. He goes, "Okay." You know, which shall we do it together? And knowing that that person who's like challenged him actually is about to be found out.
Yeah, true. Sometimes I get that little bird that asks me, it's like, what are you running from? You know?
Yeah.
All that running, why, you know, I want to, okay, that's good, but you know, why are you doing that stuff? Because that's, you know, it's some might use it as an outlet to, you know, blow some steam off. I get that. Some people might just run away from something, you know, use 30 hours a week on training.
Yeah, but and some people use it as a
that's awesome.
meditative process.
Yeah,
I am not one of them.
Me neither.
For me, it has to be the ocean. It's and so we still have to encourage people to find their places. But just like our analogy of tiddlywinks versus being on the rugby field, if you know the game that you're playing, do it for whatever reason you like. Yeah. Because you understand the rules and you've chosen a strategy, just like a coach would help you with a strategy on the field. Hey, all right, this is how we're going to play the game. Well, we're playing this game we're aiming for this outcome. And so it is for me, those are the things that are always interesting. But I find how often when chatting to a client and actually, why are they here? What are their goals? Like, and maybe it's an athlete who's injured, but they have a bigger, you know, I want to get to the Olympics. I want to get a gold medal at the Olympics, or I want to be the best in my school, whatever. Yeah. You've always got to ask the question, why? Why do you want to be there? Because to just go, oh yeah, cool, okay, that's the goal. If you don't understand the drive that makes them want to do that, you haven't tapped into the power of a very strong why in someone's world. And when someone really can dig down to the real why they want to do something and recognize that that's actually true, then
the first question anyone asks.
Yeah. And why? Then when you get down all the way down there, ask 50 whys, and it's that one at the bottom that's the driver. And if you can get there, then someone will overcome any obstacle, any discomfort, because their why is strong enough to do more. But when, you know, and so resilience is so much about how strong your why is before you decide what it is that you're doing. And it's like, oh, I want to lose weight. Yeah, but why? And I had this strange conversation. It really does feel like, thank you for interviewing me so nicely today, Kristoffer. I appreciate it. But we were at like a end of year rugby gathering, and the boys, I'd worked with the team, and so we were doing silly activation things, and the boys were messing with their parents, and one of the moms comes and says, can I come and do a session with you? Yeah. What do you want? I need to lose weight. I need to lose this much weight. Why? You know, you look at someone and you go, okay, I don't quite get it. Because you could see all the other moms were like going, what? You need to lose weight. Well, when I walk around the field, I feel like a fat, this. And they're like, what? We see you walk around the field and we think you look damn sexy. Now the dads are involved as well. So there's also that. But she doesn't, and she can't see it. And I was just being the kid going, why? And it went on for quite a while. And when we eventually got down to it, this is how crazy it is. Her husband suddenly went, I can give you the answer. I suddenly see it. She has all her dresses from 20 years ago still in her cupboard. They're beautiful. The problem is, every morning when she opens her cupboard, it slides this way. The first 10 items she sees every morning are the dresses from 20 years ago that she can't fit into. No. And then she kind of, so it's almost like, that's where I should be. I'm a failure. I'm terrible. Oh, okay, this is what I'm putting on today. Blah. And he goes, I've watched this for maybe the last 10 years, and I had no idea what I was actually seeing. But, and so her why is because every morning she gets reminded that she's not the same size as she was 20 years ago. Wow, that's amazing. So what's our first strategy? Well, we should do some breathing. No, bullshit. We should move the dresses. We should put them on the other side of the cupboard so that we take a stimulus away, that every morning when you're most vulnerable, when your brain hasn't even woken up yet, you're not getting triggered into, oh, I'm not that anymore. So she wanted to lose weight because she wanted to fit into dresses that she could wear 20 years ago. Yeah. Now you've got a clear why, and then you go, okay, is that reasonable? Is that something we really? And she's like, well, no. Well, then we just need to move the dresses as a start and see what happens.
Yeah. And then the things we talked about earlier about the first thing you see in the morning, either it's the dresses, or it's Fox News, or it's the Instagram feed.
Yeah.
That's your start of the day. Then that'll probably make your day as well.
Yeah. So yeah, which direction would you like? Absolutely. Yeah, that's big. So tell me why Be Activated for you. What is it that allowed you to, whatever. Yeah. What is it about that?
Well, it started with when you were unreachable, but which it's I think it was a YouTube video or something like that which started it. And at that point I was doing osteopathy and being busy with that, and at some point that got boring. So and I remember after that was probably a couple of years later, thought, that video, that was something interesting. And that's when I reached out to you and got you to come here, because it was just, I don't know, something about it. And after the first course, some of those kind of dots connected, getting a little bit more, I wouldn't say systematic, but a easy go-to system explaining why it could be that things are like they are in people, their problems, their pains, all that stuff. And what I love the most about it still is the testing, which is the 1, 2, 3 test, which I think had previously it's got a little bit too little emphasis, because that's where I think the power is. Well, of course the techniques are awesome as well, but the power is in the explanation and in the why, and then the people get like, oh, is that why? Pieces falling into place for the clients, which is important. The understanding of their own body.
Yeah.
That's just
such a big thing.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I enjoy the most about it, and I still do that. And with every patient, the first time I see them, that's the 1, 2, 3 tests. And I think that's just the reasoning behind it, which is simple but still powerful. And
that's quite interesting, because based upon what we've already discussed, in a sense, what you're doing in your first session when you're going through the 1, 2, 3 with your clients is you're saying, let me tell you about the game of your body. Yeah, and exactly. The 1, 2, 3 is the name of the game. Yeah. And this is the rules of how this game is played out in your body. If you don't understand the rules of the game, you have absolutely no chance of ever being successful at playing the game.
True.
I like it when we can pull an analogy from one section to the other.
Definitely.
But also what it does, it then allows them to create, first you start to realize, hey, I didn't know that. Cool. Now that you know that you didn't know, you can start to learn. So you start to become more competent. And as you put in the time and energy and effort, they put the time in, not us. We facilitate, they do the work.
Yeah, definitely.
They can become better at mastering their bodies, themselves, their lives.
That's what it's all about. That's also one of the things I think that makes a lot of sense, is giving people the power back, giving the responsibility, but also the power to take care of themselves.
Yeah.
So that's because, it's all a lot of other I've done a lot of different courses and techniques and all that stuff, but it's all about, the therapist being the guru in a way, being the, you have to come to me to get fixed.
Yeah.
But that's not what it's, about, because it's getting them, the clients, to take care of themselves and giving them tools and the power to manage stuff is way more powerful in the long term.
For sure. I remember coming back from, I think I'd done training in the States, and I had been in LA at the summit. And then I came to you and we did 4 or 5 days of training. And I think I remember saying to the group that the theme for me at the moment is privilege. Mm. And the privilege of us watching people realize how much they can do for themselves, because there is something standing back and being witness to that is quite an exceptional thing, where you get to watch someone suddenly realize that something they couldn't do, they now can do. And like, okay, so a moment before I couldn't put my socks on, and now I can put my socks on. How different am I in the world because I now have the confidence that I can put my socks on? Yeah. Or if, and we find in certain groups we work with, their fear of falling is immense. What happens if we put you on the ground and we find a way for you to find your power to get up? Now you're going to stop fearing falling because you can get up. And how does that change your world? And how does that change everything that you do? Because before, everything was about, I can't do this. I can't say, you've invited me I'd love to, but I can't because I can't do this. And I can't because, and we want to say, well, if you understand the game and if you understand your body and you understand what it's doing, you might realize that a lot of those limitations that are in place, they're not real. And your body is magical and amazing, and actually so are you. And we get to be witness to that every day with different people coming in. And for me, that's the cool part about the empowerment. It's like the joy is greater because I don't have to be responsible for your outcome, because otherwise that's a burden.
It is.
So
that's liberating and freeing at the same time. That's placing responsibility back and also giving them the tools to manage it. That's way cool.
And that's not only people just with pain and dysfunction. You're also working with athletes. You work with the Danish teams and on all different levels.
Yeah, it's just, even though it's a different setting, it's the same. You want the same outcome for people. You want to make them independent and strong on themselves, on their own. That's.
You sound like a good father. If that's the philosophy in how you see empowerment, wow, that's kind of, as a dad, wouldn't you want that for your kids too?
I try my best,
But they're our wonderful tests every day. Just to let us know that you're not quite there yet, Dad. Come on.
True. Milo had a birthday yesterday, so that was 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was
happy birthday to him. That's awesome. 7 years.
Remember, was that the first time you were here? Or
yeah. He was in nappies, standing and came he was wearing my flip-flops.
Yeah.
So it must have been 6 years ago then. So around he was in nappies and Doug's flip-flops, and he was fascinated by the fact that I was barefoot. And so was everybody else, because it was winter. But
yeah, he's still a barefoot guy, so he's running around barefoot always. So that's
outstanding. So that moment took hold. That's cool. Yeah, look, I know that there's a great story in there about you and him from after that first workshop, but I'm actually not going to ask you, other just to say that sometimes as a therapist, we need to have our own aha in our own lives
Definitely.
through this work, which then allows everything else to be that much easier. Because and that sometimes is the challenge when people are doing coming on the programs, and they watch everyone else around, and we get this.
Yeah.
There'll be one person, like in that one room we can do 38, 40 people, and so that's pretty much, so you have one person that we haven't yet found the right thing for their body. And we're patient because there's a sequence we teach for a reason. That you don't want to just jump in and go, oh, let me show you how clever I am, because now I'm the one who holds the power. This is what you need. And and that one person watching everyone else getting up going, oh, wow, that's incredible, amazing. I've never been able to do this. And they're sitting there going, like, screw you, what about me? And that's the beautiful thing. It's like, stop looking out there because the answer's here. And so if we can help our client turn inward, they can help us to help them better, to find the answers that we're looking for. Because, I think this is also what's cool, is we can't do it without our client. And I think a lot of the things that I was trained in, it's almost like the client lies there and you as the therapist, as you say, with all the power, I do the work. You just sit down, shut up, and I'll fix you. And actually, this is not that at all, because we need their information, we need their feedback, we need their engagement, because we want their system to switch on. Not I fix you, I give you. That's a really boring and very draining system that has a limited lifespan. And that's why so many therapists and trainers and doctors and chiros are actually, when we check in with them, they're exhausted, they're tired, they're frustrated. They don't want to be in their practice anymore because they're so sick of their clients. And we know that when we start to get this right, you actually go, wow, that's not my practice. My practice, my clients come in and they're excited to do the work, and all of these, they want to be there, and they share and they bring stories. In fact, I get energized when at the end of the day, I'll have days where I'm tired, but most days, like, I love teaching, because at the end of the day, you guys are going, oh crap, can you see how much energy he's got? He's just gone like 12 hours. Everyone's broken. And Doug's going, cool, where are we going now?
Because I think that's why people come back to the courses as well, even though they've been there maybe 5 times, because techniques are one thing, but it's getting to the stories of people, which is the things that gets the best results in the long run, but also what makes it stick,
And the thing is that historically, through time, in every single population, our history was written in stories. And when history gets lost, it's when someone changes the story or tells us that story, you can't tell it anymore. But actually, there's so much wisdom in stories. And the thing is that it paints pictures for us so that our mind can grasp something. And so if I can't get the picture of what's actually going on in my system, I'm just going, oh, the light's gone out again, I better call the electrician. Actually it's Milo sitting on the light switch going, let's mess with Dad again. Electrician comes and says, no, Kristoffer, the light bulb's perfect. And Milo's he's going, Dad, if you only understood, this is such a fun game. It's kind of this, it's the power of stories, is because in stories we bring what's happening in any scenario alive. And that's it. And then you can go, well, geez, is that the story? Well, I can change that story, because what happens, because you have empowering stories and you have stories that limit and disempower. And when someone realizes the story they've been telling, or even the language that they've been using, is disempowering them and their system, just to kind of say, hey, do you know this? You should try something different and see if it makes any difference at all. And if it does, keep doing it. And if it doesn't, cool, we'll find something else. That's the fun part for me, is like, there's a framework, but the framework, it's kind of like, you're buying a coloring in book, and you go, oh well, every kid's going to look the same because the outlines are the same. No, they're going to use different colors, they're going to color in the lines, some are going to color out the lines, some are going to rip up the page, some are going to make it into a paper plane. It's kind of, you need a framework though.
Yeah, of course. That's why every workshop is different, because we have different students that draw on the kind of the outline of paper while they're there.
Yeah, well, I think that's for me why now, after 16 years of doing this, teaching it, it's still exciting. It's still fun, because it's watching people, and for me, it's always, as that reflecting back, I'm learning too, which means I get to bring a better version, or better. We did a webinar last night, and it's one of the things that you will have heard me say is that my goal isn't to answer your questions. My goal is to help you ask better questions, because better questions is a better quality of answer. And so it's kind of like, sometimes you need to watch how the process goes on almost hacking stories or redefining stories, or and watching how it plays out in physiology. Because that's, at the end of the day, we still, we don't want to go airy fairy and go, this is up in our head only. No, it's all going to translate through the body and what the body is able to do. So we have clear measurables on, are we being effective or are we not?